Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Katarina. I am so excited about today's video. As you can see from the title, this is going to be the introduction to my Pan palette for 2022. Pan palette for sure is my favorite project pan ever, both to do myself and to watch from other people. So yeah, I will link my Pan palette playlist down below if you want to check out my previous Pan palettes. I have been doing them since 2018, so it has been a while and there has been quite a few palettes. Pan palette project is created by Ember F, so she is of course linked down below as always to my Pan palette videos. But before getting into the topic of today's video, I just quickly wanted to mention I am sorry if my voice sounds a little bit rough. I don't know how it sounds on camera, but for the past week I have been sick and my voice might be a little bit off still. I'm filming this video now a little bit early. I'm filming on December 19th and yes, I am still very much pregnant. I'm actually 4 days past my due date already. However, I did want to film this video early. It has been a couple of weeks since I did finish my previous Pan palette, so the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance. You know, for me it is just so weird when I'm not working on anything. Like, I don't know what to use and I don't almost want to use like anything. After all of these years with Pan palette, it's just not natural for me to reach to whatever I want from my collection. So I thought, why not start the Pan palette a little bit early and have something to focus on. But yeah, I think that was long and rambly of an intro already. So let's just get to the topic of today's video. Let me introduce to you my Pan palette for 2022. So I will be panning the Ciate London Olivia Palermo eyeshadow palette. So this is what the palette is looking like right now that we are starting this project. And that is what the color story is looking like. So a lot of colors that I do like actually. And as you can see, there is some pan showing. I have actually been able to hit 4 pans in this palette. I just had to repress one of these shades. So I did repress the matte cream because it shattered completely. That is not something that I normally do. I don't like repressing shades, but there was so much product here and I didn't want to waste the product, so I decided to repress it. And then I have been able to hit pan on this really light, dusty, pink, rose sort of shade. And then this matte brown, that is something I have been wearing on my brows quite a bit. And then also this light shimmery peach, that is actually something that I was working on in my Pando's Eyeshadows project pan last year. And before rolling this palette into the Pando's Eyeshadows, this actually didn't have any pans in it, so doing Pando's Eyeshadows totally made me use this palette more. But yeah, let's have a little chat about why I decided to pan this palette for 2022. I actually have been going back and forth between panning this one and panning my Too Faced Chocolate Bar eyeshadow palette. One thing that I was thinking about is doing both this one and the chocolate bar. However, I decided not to do that because it would be maybe a little bit too many eyeshadows to focus on at once, so it would be overwhelming. But also there is some overlapping between this one and chocolate bar, so I decided to go with this one. So the biggest reason why I decided to pan this palette this next year is that these eyeshadows are actually pressed directly into the packaging and there's not pans there. And that's a little bit annoying to me because I actually do like depotting eyeshadows, and if this palette was something that I could depot, I probably would have done it already. However, that is just not possible with this because the eyeshadows are not pressed into pans. So the only way for me to keep these eyeshadows is either to keep the entire palette or to repress these eyeshadows. However, I don't like doing repressing unless it is really necessary, like it was with this cream that shattered. Because I find with repressing eyeshadows, it might always affect the formula. Unless I do repressing, I just need to keep the palette the way it is. So because of that, I decided that I do want to work on this palette this next year, and then in the end of the year we will see where I am with this palette, if it is something that I still want to keep it in my collection or if it is then time to let go of the palette. Another thing is that this is really different from the color story that I was working for the past couple of years. So I have been working on Modern Renaissance, which for the most part is a really warm neutral, kind of burnt sort of palette with some pops of pink. So, you know, I'm excited to be working on something completely different what I have been working on, because right now I feel that I need a break from those really warm colors, because I have been working on them for such a long time. But let's talk about some goals that I do have for this palette for 2022. I don't think it's realistic for me to finish this palette. I mean, this palette, when you look at it, it looks so small and compact, but don't let the size trick you. There's more product that you maybe would think there is in here. So there's actually 12 grams. Now, I don't know the individual weight of each of the eyeshadow since the pans are different sizes and shapes, but 12 grams is quite a bit of product. It is more than in an Anastasia palette, for example. But you know, also when I look at this palette, these shades are not something that I would necessarily combine with one another, that often at least. I mean, today I'm wearing quite a few shades from this palette. I'm wearing on my lid this gold and this green. I did set my eyeshadow primer with this matte cream, and then on my brows I am wearing the matte brown. Also, as a nail polish topper, I am wearing the green today. So yes, I was able to use multiple of these shades on my look today. But a lot of these shades are something that I still need something else to complete my looks. So for example, the gold, if I want to wear that on my lid, I would most likely reach for mattes from a different palette. So today I'm wearing some singles. Also, a lot of these shades are out of my comfort zone in a way that while I do like to reach for them once in a while, they are not something I would wear on daily basis or even on weekly basis. Like the plummy shades, I know they are that kind of shades that there are seasons when I'm more into them, but then at some point I need a break. I know that from experience because I have been working on similar shades in the past. And then green, not something I realistically would wear too often. So yeah, finishing the palette is not my goal. However, I do want to hit pan on all of these eyeshadows. At least that should be doable, even though I will say the shimmer formula in this palette is not the easiest one to hit pan on. I have only hit pan on one of these shimmers, while I have been able to hit pan on 3 of the mattes. The matte formula in this is pretty dusty and powdery. I don't remember if it has always been like that or if it has turned a little bit. I think in my Pantos eyeshadows project it took maybe 42 uses to hit pan on this peach. But I do still think I can realistically hit pan on all of these shades. It's just probably going to take a while. But I don't even know realistically if I could finish any of these shimmers because they are that much tougher. But you know, we'll see. However, I think there are 3 shades in this palette that might be realistic for me to finish, and that is going to be my goal. So the matte cream, of course, that is something I can use to set my eyeshadow primer, and also I can use it as a brow bone highlight. And then the brown. So the brown is something that I can use every single day on my brows. I use a small amount, yes, but if I do have an entire year to work on it, it shouldn't be impossible to finish it. Then also I think this really light dusty rose, I will say this sort of shade is not necessarily my favorite shade ever, however it is so light and so close of being like a really neutral shade that if I'm just going for a cool tone neutral look, I do think this is something I can wear as a transition shade. And also in this shade there is pretty nice pan already, and that is one of the smaller size pans in this palette. So those 3 eyeshadows I think I realistically can finish. Yeah, I'm excited to be working on this. I think this is that kind of palette that allows me also to wear other eyeshadows from my collection. So whatever I like to, while being focused on one thing. I think that is maybe what works the best for me. I need something to focus on, but at the same time I feel bad if I don't allow myself to wear anything else from my collection. So for right now I'm not going to be selecting a companion palette or anything like that. For January I won't be setting too much goals. I thought the only real goal that I will set is that I would like to hit pan again on the cream. I will say, since I have already had pan in this, I do still count this eyeshadow towards my pan percentage, but it is pretty thin there, so I would actually love the pan to be showing again. But other than that, I don't want to set any goals for January. I just want to get a feel for this palette. I think there are a lot of shades in this palette that I would enjoy during winter times. So yeah, that's really everything I have to say about the Panda palette. However, right now in the end of the video, I wanted really quickly talk about where we are right now with my eyeshadow numbers now that we are starting the new year kind of fresh. So where my pan percentage is at the moment. Let me know if you do want to hear this information in the end of my Panda palette videos. That is something that I love to hear from others, but I know people tend to talk about their pan percentage and their numbers in their Pando's eyeshadows videos. However, I won't be doing Pando's eyeshadows at least for now, so the only place for me to really sneak this into a video would be in the end of my Panda palette videos. So I do count both my pan percentage and my empty pan percentage, and my empty pan percentage at the moment is actually at 0%. It was actually pretty nice for the end of the year, but I don't count those eyeshadows that I have finished last year anymore towards my empty pan percentage, since I was able to complete my previous Panda palette. I don't count that towards my inventory anymore. But where there is some progress and the number is not 0 is actually my pan percentage. So at the moment I do have 157 eyeshadow pans in my collection. All of the pans have product there, so that's why the empty pan percentage is 0. From those 157 I have actually hit pan on 23, so that makes my pan percentage for the beginning of the year 14.65. I hope that goes up next year. Don't know how much, but that is what we are starting the year with. But yeah, let me know, where do you want to hear this information, or do you want to hear it all together? That's everything for today. Let me know if you are doing Panda palette and if you're doing videos about it, or if you're, you know, sharing your progress on Instagram. So let me know so I can follow you. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next one. Bye bye.